Hello everybody, so for today's card I'm using the High Hopes Making Friends image that I stamped with Memento Tuxedo Black ink onto CC Designs Covet Quality 80-pound cardstock and then die cut with my always go-to MFT pierced circle stacks die. And I actually made technically a mistake, but I used the R56 and rather than using the 59 I'd gone in with the 89, which is my darkest shade. That's why I love Covet markers so much, because you can just go back over that with the middle marker, which was the R59, and then blended it out again with R56, and it really didn't make that much of a difference. So yeah, they're very forgiving. That is why I love Covet. You don't have to be a super expert colorer to get some good results with them. So I'd used those three colors for his outfit, and then for the trim and for the scarf I'd used YG 23 and 25. And then R24 and 27. And with those ones I didn't really do much blending, just because it was smaller areas and it gives a little bit more definition to not blend as much. So I did that, and then for the gray I was using C5 and C8. And just added the C5, went with C8, and then blended it with the C5 again. And then I added a little bit of W1 to his hat. And then just a little bit of E25 for his legs. And then for the snow of his body and the snowman and the ground, I'm just using BG000, just so that you can still kind of see that. Otherwise I would have used quadruple zero, but that would have been even paler. And I didn't bother blending it out, I just left it as is, just for that little bit more definition. And then I wanted to add something kind of around it because, you know, there's so much white going on. So I took my B01 and added that the closest to all of the images, and then I started blending that out with B quadruple zero. And then finally I went in with my zero, my colorless blender, just to fade it even more, press it a bit deeper into the cardstock. And I'd sped that up quite a bit, but I blended it quite a bit so it just would fade to white. So once I was done with that, I'm going to go on to the card itself, which I'm using the Simple Stories December Documented Pattern Papers. And I decided to make a 5.5 inch square card. So I had some old Stampin' Up! Burgundy cardstock. I think this was the Bravo Burgundy. But yeah, that kind of matched the burgundy in the pattern papers. So once I kind of figured out my layout, I grabbed some AmyR's seam binding ribbon, which again actually matched the pattern paper and the cardstock perfectly. So I wrapped that around the card front, taped it down, and then tied the bow separately. That just gives it it's a little bit easier this way, plus it gets the bow kind of in the direction I want it to go. And then I came across this snowflake ribbon. This is also by, I think it's AmyR's. I got it from the Stamp Simply store. I'll link it with the rest of my supplies, but I got it last year. And I just thought it was so cute and it kind of fit the whole snowman theme and the sentiment I'm planning on using. So I just kind of strip of it and then just use my Tim Holtz tiny attacher to staple it into place. And then I grabbed this sentiment, which is also High Hopes. It's the unassembled sentiment. So I stamped that onto a scrap of the same cards I'm going to use for the card base, which I think is Stampin' Up! Soft Sky, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, stamp that and then die cut it with another one of the Pierced Circle Stacks Dynamics. And then I'm going to adhere my main image into place, just like so. Let's put that into place. And then for my embellishments, I just got this Cottage Cuts, that snowflake die. In one of my Christmas haul videos, however many weeks ago, I wanted to use it. So really pretty die. It cuts super, super intricate, so I had to use a pin to kind of push it out of the die, but really pretty, and it cut it right through the cardstock. So it cuts cleanly, and yeah, really nice. So I did that, and then I decided to add a little die cut, another die cut snowflake, this one from My Favorite Things. And the easiest way I found to attach a snowflake like this was to just use one of these red line adhesive dots, and I actually applied it over the snowflake because it's got that opening in the middle, so it pressed it right down and adhered it to the card. And then I was able to apply the other snowflake right to it, so just using one dot. And then finally I smushed up a second dot to attach the little button that I had tied a little bow onto with the hemp cord. So I did that, and then for the sentiment I decided to slip it right under both sets of little snowflakes there, just so that those kind of stuck out a little bit more. And then finally, for my last little embellishments, I grabbed a few more buttons from my stash just to finish it off. So once I got them placed the way I wanted it, the easiest way when I plan on sewing them on like this, rather than just attaching them with like adhesive dots or anything like that, is I just place them into where I wanted them to go and then just pierce the holes with my brad setting tool And then I had already threaded a needle with the same hemp cord and sewed them all on, leaving the ends out on the one, and tied it in a bow, and then that way they were attached to my card. So yeah, super cute. And this is why I do my card fronts separately and then attach them to actual card base, because that is so ugly right there. And you do not want to open a card and see that. That's just ugly. So added my adhesive and then adhered that to my card. And then for the inside of the card, I die cut another circle of white cardstock, and I'm just inking up the main image with MFT snow cone ink, because it's pale enough that you can write over, like it wouldn't get in the way of writing a message with, you know, a ballpoint pen. So, but yet it kind of dresses up the inside a little bit. So I did that, and then I just grabbed more pattern papers from the December documented pack, just a few different ones too, rather than sticking with the exact same papers I used on the front. And then once I got those adhered, I had die cut another couple little snowflakes. So once I figured out where I wanted those, these ones I just adhered with my Tombow Mono Multi, because I didn't want to add a button to bulk up the inside of the card. And I didn't want to use an adhesive dot because I didn't want to end up like gluing my card together. So did that, and then I'm just going to adhere that to the inside of the card, and that's all there was to it for today. So as always, there will be a link below to my blog post, and in that I will post a link to all the supplies used. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!